Welcome back to the Secure Link. I'm your host, Ananya, and it's great to have you back. You might have noticed that I took a short 2-week break, and that's because I've decided to transition to a bi-weekly release schedule instead of the previous weekly format. This change allows me to bring you even more in-depth content while ensuring the highest quality discussions about cybersecurity and IT. In our last episode, we explored the fascinating world of the Internet of Things, IoT for short, and we delved into the infamous Mirai botnet attack. If you missed it, I highly recommend checking it out. Today, we're diving headfirst into another crucial topic in the world of cybersecurity, mentioned in episode 3, distributed denial of service attacks, more commonly known as DDoS attacks. DDoS attacks are an ever-present threat in today's digital landscape, and understanding them is essential for anyone wanting to get involved or already involved in IT or cybersecurity. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Let's start at the beginning. What exactly is a DDoS attack? DDoS attack, or distributed denial of service attack, is a malicious attempt to disrupt the regular functioning of a network, service, or website by overwhelming it with a flood of traffic. The goals can vary from causing disruption to data theft, revenge, or serving as a distraction for other cybercrimes. We've seen some high-profile DDoS attacks in recent years, and these incidents serve as stark reminders of real-world impacts of DDoS attacks on organizations and the internet as a whole. Let's take a closer look at a noteworthy case. A DDoS attack occurred in 2018 when GitHub, the widely used code hosting platform, faced a relentless DDoS assault. What made this attack particularly significant was the scale and sophistication of traffic being directed at GitHub servers. GitHub provides a platform for millions of developers to collaborate on software projects, and the attack disrupted their services. Developers rely heavily on GitHub for their daily work, and this attack had a direct impact on their productivity. This incident served as a reminder that DDoS attacks can target not only major corporations, but also the tools and services that underpin global software development communities. Now that we know what DDoS attacks are and how they work, let's talk about the common tools and techniques attackers use. Imagine these techniques as different ways of overwhelming a phone line that connects you to your favorite pizza place. First, there's something called a SYN flood attack, SYN flood attack. Think of it as someone trying to make a reservation at the pizza place but never showing up. For example, when they call to make a reservation, they'd say something like, "Hi, I'd like a table for 2 at 7, but they're supposed to confirm your reservation. But in a SYN flood attack, the attacker just keeps making these fake reservations without ever confirming. This floods the pizza place with so many reservation requests that they can't handle real customers anymore. It's like getting too many reservation calls and not having enough tables for everyone. Next up is a UDP flood attack, or a user datagram protocol. Imagine you ordered pizza for a big party. Instead of one delivery person bringing a pizza box, they send a whole truckload of pizza boxes to your house, one after another. In a UDP flood, the attacker sends a ton of pizza boxes, in this case data packets, to your house without stopping. You can't keep up with all the deliveries, and your house gets so crowded that you can't do anything else. That's what happens to a server during a UDP flood attack. It gets so overwhelmed with too much data to handle. Lastly, we have something called amplification attacks, which are a bit like a never-ending chain reaction. Imagine you set up a line of dominoes, and you flick the first one. But instead of just one domino falling, it triggers all the dominoes in the room to fall. Amplification attacks work similarly. The attacker sends a small request to a server that unintentionally sends back a huge response. This small request becomes a giant request when it reaches the target, overwhelming it, just like a tiny flick, causing a huge domino effect. Understanding these DDoS attack techniques is a bit like knowing the tricks that troublemakers might use to disrupt your pizza night or create chaos with falling dominoes. We've talked about how DDoS attacks work, but how can you protect yourself from them? It's a bit like securing your home from unwanted guests. Let's use some everyday examples to explain these strategies. Think of network security measures as locking your doors and windows of your house. Just like you wouldn't leave your front door wide open, you don't want your network to be completely accessible. By implementing network security measures, you're making it harder for attackers to get in. It's like putting a strong lock on your door to keep intruders out. Now imagine you're hosting a party, and you have a list of invited guests. Traffic filtering is like having a bouncer at the entrance who checks the guest list. Only those on the list are allowed in. Traffic filtering works similarly. It allows only legitimate traffic, your invited guests, to enter your network while blocking any suspicious or unwanted visitors, aka attackers. Rate limiting is similar to controlling the pace of your party. You might have a limit on how many people can enter at a time to ensure things don't get too chaotic. In the digital world, rate limiting restricts the number of the connection requests that can be made to your server within a certain time frame. This prevents an overwhelming influx of traffic, just like controlling the flow of guests at your party. Now, picture having an emergency plan in case something unexpected happens at your party. A DDoS mitigation plan is like having a detailed plan for handling unforeseen situations. It outlines the steps to take if your security measures fail and an attack occurs. It's your safety net, just like having a first aid kit on hand in case of an emergency. Lastly, DDoS protection services are like hiring a professional security team for your party. These services specialize in identifying and mitigating DDoS attacks in real time. They're experts at keeping your online presence safe from unwanted disruptions. It's like having vigilant security personnel ensuring the safety and enjoyment of your event. Just as you take steps to ensure your home, control access to your party, and have an emergency plan in case of trouble, these strategies work together to protect your digital presence from DDoS attacks. Before we wrap up, I want to emphasize the importance of staying informed about cybersecurity news and trends. Cybersecurity is a rapidly evolving field, and keeping up with the latest developments is essential. To sum it all up, DDoS attacks are a significant cybersecurity threat, but with the right knowledge and defense in place, they can be mitigated. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Secure Link. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share it with your friends and colleagues. You can also connect with us on Instagram at thesecurelink.podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay secure, and remember, your connection to knowledge starts here.